Imagine staring into a mirror, seeing your reflection, but something feels off. It's as if the person looking back at you is someone else, someone you don't recognize. What if that mirror wasn't just showing you what you look like, but something much darker? What if that mirror was a window, a doorway, into another world, a world that doesn't want you to live? In this village, mirrors aren't just for vanity. They hold power, and when one salon owner banned them, she unknowingly unleashed something that would change everything. This isn't the story you think you know. This is the story of Amina, a woman who ran a salon, a place that promised beauty, but behind the walls, behind the mirrors, something was watching, something waiting. And when she made the decision to remove them, she set in motion a series of events that no one, not even the oldest elders, could have anticipated. In a small village, tucked away in the heart of Africa, lived Amina. Her salon was the heartbeat of the community, a place where women gathered not just to get their hair done, but to talk, to laugh, to share. It wasn't just a business, it was a sanctuary. Amina was known for her beauty treatments, her wisdom, her care. She made everyone feel welcome, like family. But Amina's success was not without its price. It was a place of smiles, but beneath those smiles, there were whispers. Whispers of things no one dared to speak aloud. Whispers that the mirrors in Amina's salon were more than just reflections of beauty. They were believed to hold something else, something far more powerful, something dangerous. And it was this belief that led Amina to make a decision that would change the lives of everyone in her village. She decided to remove the mirrors. It started slowly. At first, it was just a single mirror. Then, a second, and before anyone could question it, Amina had taken them all down. She covered the walls with colorful fabrics and traditional artwork, and the salon seemed brighter, friendlier, like something had been lifted from the air. But soon after, strange things began happening. At first, it was small, a missing comb, a strange cold breeze that seemed to come from nowhere. Then, it escalated. One by one, customers started leaving the salon, unsettled. They couldn't explain why, but they said it felt as though they had seen something in the reflection before it was covered. Something dark, something that wasn't supposed to be there. But the moment that truly changed everything came when Zoe, a young girl who had been coming to the salon for years, sat down in front of the spot where the mirror used to be. She was there for a routine hair treatment, but as Amina walked, Zoe began to tremble. Her hands shook, her eyes widened in horror, and suddenly, she cried out. She saw something. A shadow, a figure standing behind her. But when she turned around, there was nothing. Just the empty room. Zoe ran from the salon, refusing to come back. But that wasn't the end of it. Oh, no. Something had been awakened. In a small African village nestled in the heart of the savannah, where the earth is rich with stories older than time itself, there lived a young woman named Amina. Her name was spoken with respect, for she was not just a simple salon owner. She was an artist, a healer of the soul, a keeper of beauty. Amina's salon was the most popular in the village, a place where the women of the community would gather not only to have their hair braided, but to talk, to laugh, to share their lives. The salon was a hub of camaraderie, a sanctuary in a world that often didn't understand the weight of a woman's burdens. But this wasn't just any salon. Here, beauty was more than skin deep. It was believed that in this village, mirrors were not simply objects that reflected your outward appearance, they held something far more powerful. They were believed to capture your spirit, to hold it within the glass. What you saw in the mirror was not just a reflection of your face, but a glimpse into your very soul. A window into the unseen. No one ever truly understood the origin of this belief. Some elders said it came from the old gods, who placed the mirrors here to remind humans that they were not just flesh, but spirit. Others whispered that the mirrors were created by powerful sorcerers long ago, imbued with magic so ancient, it had become more myth than reality. But one thing was certain, the mirrors in Amina's salon weren't just glass. They were something more, something that could trap a soul if you weren't careful. But it wasn't always like this. Amina wasn't always the successful salon owner she had become. She had grown up in this village, surrounded by these very beliefs, listening to the stories told by the elders. She had heard the warnings, heard them say that the mirrors held the power to trap a soul. But in her youth, like so many others, Amina thought little of it. To her, a mirror was a tool, an object to see how you looked, to check your hair, your clothes, your beauty. She never imagined that it could be anything more. But that all changed one fateful day. It started as a small thing, a whisper, a feeling. Amina had noticed her customers acting differently. The laughter, once so vibrant, began to feel strained. Their smiles seemed forced, like masks hiding something deeper. But it wasn't until she noticed the change in Zay, her most loyal customer, that Amina began to question what was really happening. Amina's salon, nestled in the heart of the village, had become a sanctuary for more than just beauty. It had become a place of solace. Women traveled from miles away to experience her healing touch and skillful hands. Her work wasn't just about braiding hair or painting faces. It was about restoring something deeper, something spiritual. It was said that Amina had a special gift. Her touch could ease the mind, calm the soul, and make women feel at peace with themselves. But everything began to change when a young girl named Zoe walked into the salon one afternoon. Zoe was a frequent customer, and though her visits were usually full of chatter and excitement, that day was different. As Amina began her work, she noticed Zoe's expression changing. At first, the girl was quiet, too quiet for Amina's liking. Then, Zoe's hands began to tremble, her fingers twitching nervously. Without warning, Zoe let out a shrill gasp, her face contorting with fear. She shot up from the chair, her breath ragged, her eyes filled with terror. "Amina," she cried, "there's something behind me. A shadow, it's watching me." Amina was left standing there, frozen. What had just happened? Why had Zoe reacted this way? Amina had never seen such terror in a client before. She turned to the mirror, searching for any clue, any sign of what Zoe had seen. But all she saw was her own reflection staring back at her. Nothing more. Or so it seemed. Zoe didn't return that day, and she never came back to the salon again. But her sudden departure wasn't the only thing that unsettled Amina. Word spread quickly through the village of Zoe's strange behavior. Some dismissed it as nothing more than a bad omen, a moment of weakness or fear. But others, the elders and those who believed in the old ways, began to whisper. They said it was the work of spirits, a manifestation of witchcraft. Some even claimed that Zoe's spirit had been marked, that it had been trapped by the mirror, and that she might never be the same again. Amina couldn't shake the feeling that something had changed. The air in the salon felt heavier now, as though the walls themselves were watching her. The mirrors, once innocent reflections, now seemed to hold a darker presence. She had ignored the old stories, the warnings about mirrors being more than just glass. She had dismissed them as superstitions, myths told by the elders. But now, with Zoe's reaction still fresh in her mind, Amina couldn't help but wonder, had she made a terrible mistake? And this was just the beginning. As the days passed, Amina's unease grew. The mirror that once reflected only beauty, joy, and light now felt like a door to something darker, something unseen. But nothing could have prepared her for what was about to happen. One night, after a long and busy day at the salon, Amina's best stylist, Ayadil, stayed behind to finish her work. Ayadil had been with Amina for years, always diligent, always reliable. But that night, something changed. The next morning, Ayadil was gone. There was no sign of struggle, no note left behind. The only trace she left was her reflection, frozen in fear, trapped in the mirror. Amina stood before the mirror, paralyzed by the sight of her dear friend trapped in the glass. It was as though the mirror had consumed her. The villagers soon learned of Ayadil's disappearance, and rumors began to spread like wildfire. Some whispered that it was the work of the spirits, an evil force awakened by the mirrors. Others feared it was witchcraft, a curse placed upon the salon by an unseen hand. But deep in Amina's heart, she knew that the mirrors weren't just reflecting beauty. They were reflecting something far worse, something much darker. In her desperation, Amina turned to the village elder, a wise woman who had lived through countless storms, who knew the old ways, the ancient stories. The elder's face was carved with age, but her eyes still held the depth of the secrets she carried. The elder listened intently as Amina explained the horrors that had unfolded in her salon. When she finished, the elder sat in silence, her eyes narrow with thought. Finally, she spoke, her voice low, as if carefully choosing her words. "You have awakened something, Amina," the elder said, her voice heavy with caution. "The mirrors you've used are not mere glass. They were crafted by witches long ago, tools of deception, instruments to trap souls and summon spirits. You see, mirrors hold a power that many do not understand. They don't just reflect, they absorb. They capture what's inside, what lies beneath the surface." The elder's voice grew heavier. "The mirrors in your salon are portals, Amina. Portals to a world where the trapped souls of the past linger. And once you allow a spirit to cross, it's almost impossible to send them back. The spirits of those who have died or been trapped, if they see an opportunity, they will take it." The elder then revealed a chilling truth: the only way to free your community from the spirit's hold is to destroy the mirrors. But understand this, Amina, the spirits are not easily dismissed. They are powerful, angry. And when you destroy what binds them, there is no guarantee they will leave. In fact, they may come for you. She had always believed in the power of her salon, the work she had done for her community. Destroying the mirrors meant losing everything: her livelihood, her home, her connection to the people she had served. But the elder's warning echoed in her mind. Was it worth the risk? Could she live with the guilt of keeping the mirrors and the spirits alive? The time had come for Amina to choose. Would she destroy the mirrors and risk her life, or would she continue to ignore the warning and face the consequences? The spirits had already begun to stir, and there was no turning back. What will Amina do? Will she risk it all to save her community, or will the mirrors claim more victims? Stay with us, because what happens next will change everything. When the weight of the world presses upon you, sometimes the only way to find peace is to face the things that scare you most. Amina had learned that truth all too well. The mirrors had taken more than just reflections, they had taken people, memories, and pieces of her soul. Now, it was time to undo the damage, time to confront the darkness that had crept into her life and into the lives of her people. After much thought, Amina decided to take a bold step. She would close her salon for a day and remove the mirrors, every last one. It was the only way to ensure that the spirits, trapped in the glass, could no longer reach her people. But she knew it wouldn't be that simple. The mirrors had been used in ways that no one fully understood. So she turned to the elders, the ones who carried the knowledge of the old ways, the ones who knew how to deal with the forces beyond the physical world. The elders began the ritual, a cleansing of the spirits that had been bound to the mirrors. They chanted in a language that few in the village understood, their words like wind rustling through the leaves of ancient trees. The mirrors, once tools of vanity and beauty, now lay under the watchful gaze of the moon, vulnerable to the power of the ritual. As the night passed, the ritual continued. The spirits, those that had been trapped, those that had come seeking refuge, began to fade. The mirrors, once portals of torment, now seemed to lose their power. The glass grew duller with each passing chant, until, at last, they were no longer the ominous reflections they had once been. When morning finally broke, the village was different. The shadows had lifted. The air felt lighter, as though the oppressive weight had been released. And the people, those who had feared the mirrors, those who had stayed away from the saloon, began to return. Peace was restored, and the balance had been set right. Zoe returned to the saloon, no longer haunted by the spirits she had once feared. She looked at her reflection and saw only herself, her spirit no longer tethered to the unknown. The mirrors, though still present in the village, had been transformed. No longer were they vessels of dread, but simple, everyday objects. Ideal was found, though she had no memory of the night she had disappeared. The spirits had taken her, yes, but they had not harmed her. She was whole, but changed. What had happened in the mirrors, no one would ever fully understand. And so, the mirrors were gone, but the lesson was clear: there are forces in this world far beyond what we can see. The reflection we see in the glass is only one version of who we are. The truth, the real truth, lies hidden beneath the surface. Sometimes, the things we fear are not always the things we seek, but the things we choose to ignore. In the end, Amina knew the mirrors had been more than just glass. They had been windows into the unknown. And she had learned that sometimes, the greatest battles are not fought with strength, but with the courage to face what lies beyond the reflection. What would you have done if you were Amina? Would you have been brave enough to tear down the mirrors and risk everything to save your village? Or would you have walked away, hoping the spirits would fade on their own? The choice is yours to make, but remember, sometimes, the hardest decisions are the ones that change everything. What do you think? Could there be more to this story? More spirits waiting, or perhaps, an even darker secret hidden within the mirrors? Let us know what you would have done in Amina's shoes. What would your choice have been? Did the mirrors truly lose their power, or did something else follow them into the shadows? Until then, remember, some stories never truly end. They only wait for the right moment to return. Remember, not everything that reflects the world around us should be trusted. Some things are meant to stay hidden, locked away in the shadows, where they can't reach us. The mirrors were not just windows to our faces, but to something far more ancient, something that has watched over us for generations. And when they were taken down, who knows what truly slipped away with them? And so, the village moved on, but remember this: sometimes the things we fear are not as far from us as we think. The mirrors may be gone, but there are always new ways to reflect what we can't see. The spirits of the past, they never truly leave. They simply wait until we are ready to face them again. Until next time, remember, not all that is seen should be believed. And not all mirrors reflect what they show.